Okay, so welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Makers of You. Tonight we have our guests. We have Shayla. Can I say
Okay,
Rose?
go for it.
Hey, Shayla, as
Hey.
well as Nisi. What's your last? What do you like to go? Just Nisi. Is that good?
GP is good.
Nisi
Okay.
P.
Hello. Say that one more time.
Nisi P.
Nisi P. We got Nisi P. They're our guests for our upcoming episode this week. And you know what it is. This is the makings of you. So we're going to go have a deep dive in our background of our guests, learn a little bit about them prior to you listen to the episode and the conversation that we have once again on this upcoming week. So how are we doing, ladies?
I feel amazing. I feel
Hey,
great.
See, I
great.
love that. Amazing. Feel great. And once again, going to be a few questions, and this going close in this season two. So I've been switching up the questions. Well, I haven't been switching up the questions for season two. Y'all about to get the new edition of the questions right now. So, right.
Ooh.
And here's once again, y'all answer how you feel like answering it. I'm not going to give you any like direction. These are just open ended. Some of them open ended, some of them direct. But I really just want to say whatever comes to your mind, whatever in your heart, that's what I want to hear. So,
Okay.
starting with the first question, and we're going to go with Shayla. How would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself? I would definitely describe myself as country. Yeah, I'm in the city, but East Texas is my roots. Stand up, Tyler, Texas, right? I am definitely um, an earthy person. Like I love all things spiritual in a sense. Like I'm into yoga, I'm into self-healing, healing self-trauma because it's something I had to do for my own self. I am a mother. I have a 12-year-old son, so we got to throw that in there. I have to have a purpose. Purpose is what drives me, and I am a connector. Like I love to connect with people. I love to learn people, learn different things about them. I'm a communicator, and I'm a magnet. Like I don't know, I'm the person that I'm out and about, and somebody will come tell me their whole life story. So I connect with people. Like people feel safe with me, you know. And I'm a music head and a nerd. That's me.
Quite a few things. Love it though. Okay. Nisi, tell us, well, how would you describe yourself?
Oh boy. I just want to keep it simple. I was born in Chicago, so I'm Chicago raised and in Texas, enjoying my life out here in the country. To an extent, it's not as rural as it could be, but
Mm.
it's definitely not the big city. And I just enjoy life. I'm a lifetime learner. I love learning about a whole bunch of things. I like making great connections. I'm a networker. I love knowing what people do, so you can play a part in perhaps connecting them to something bigger than themselves if you just happen to know the right people, looking for the right people who have certain skills. I think that's great. So
Mm.
I love to be the person to say, "Oh, I have a realtor for you," or "I know a plumber," or "I know electricity," and like that's cool to me. So I enjoy it because I love to know people's gifts and their worth. It's
Mm.
just something about knowing that people know who they are. And it's just energizing to be around people who are aware of themselves and know that they have something that they're supposed to do with their lives. I think it makes a difference. And I think you can measure yourself by the friends and the company you keep of how you moving in life. So that's something that I think is important about connecting. And I love music, like we discussed.
Yes.
And
Can't go. Mm.
I also enjoy creating. So I like cooking, I like making things, I like DIY projects, I like to create. So that's one of the things that grounds me.
Mm.
Thank you. Okay, look at this. Okay. So, who makes up your family? We're gonna go back to Nisi on this one.
You mean like intermediately?
Have you want to
Is
answer
that-
it?
Oh, okay. Well,
Mm.
yeah. Well, I have. I hope it doesn't sound too statistical, but I have several sets of siblings. But my immediate family consists of me and two brothers. And collectively, I think I have about 11 siblings, just throughout the time frame from me being the second to the oldest to my dad having like a toddler right now. So we do have basically a generation worth of siblings collectively, but if it's just my parents, it would just be us three and them two.
Hmm.
All right, Shayla.
Who's my family? So my family would be, I have my mother, my grandmother. Of course, I have my son. I was blessed to have three mothers in life. So one of my mothers, she raised me. She actually was a friend of the family, which is interesting because I didn't find that out until literally she passed in 2015. I didn't find that out until maybe a month ago. That she actually was a
Wow.
friend of the family. She wasn't an aunt. She was a friend of the family. But I don't know if you know Miss Sims. Do you remember Miss Sims at Or?
I don't know. If I see a picture of her, I might know.
Okay. Well, anyway, she was a very very well-known educator in Tyler. She was very compassionate and loving, and she raised me. Then I have my mom and an aunt who was like my mom. So obviously, your mother don't have to be your birth mother, but I had three. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like I said, I have a brother. I have three cousins that were practically raised like brother and sister. So it's like they're my cousins, but they're really not. They're my brothers and sisters. And I have three aunts and an uncle. Additionally, my friends are my family, like without a doubt. Like my friends are an extension of that. I look at my friends like family. I'm closer with some of my friends than I am with some of my family. So that's definitely on the list for me.
Thank you. Once again, I would let y'all know. I would love to share about my stuff, but here I'm learning. We're hearing you
Yeah.
two. Okay. So, how would you define your childhood and your upbringing, Shayla?
Okay. My okay, so I was raised, like I said, by my aunt, and she was a generation behind me. So she was like a great aunt, so to speak. And she raised me initially. I was in church Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all days of the week, and no exposure to hip hop because that ain't what she listened to. I was hearing Stevie Wonder and Teddy Pitter. If there was playing, most of the time it was church music. But that's if we veered outside of that. So I was raised, I have I'm a millennial or a zennial, so to speak, but I have a lot of heavy Gen X influence, so baby boomer and Gen X influence in my life. So let me see, fourth grade, it was very religious, very structured, very like I couldn't spend the night at people's houses or anything. Very, very secluded. But then my aunt moved with us in the fourth grade. That's when I was introduced to TLC and Tony. I got like my first cassette tape. So thankfully, my aunt coming on the scene, it gave me some exposure to like hip hop and Black culture, like culture things that were outside of religion. And that was pretty it. Like I was raised in love. Like my family structure definitely has some like breakdowns that were passed down from slavery, so to speak, just different people raising different people, not knowing who's family and who's not. But I was surrounded in love at the end of the day. So that into my adult life, I did in 2015, I basically started the journey, so to speak, of healing my childhood trauma. And it was two life-changing events that happened in 2015. It basically led me down that road. And I had this moment, it was a turning point when I was like, something's not right with you. Like you got some stuff going on that you need to get addressed. I went to therapy and it's been life-changing. And so adult life, I would say, I've broken generational curses. I've healed my childhood codependency, childhood, looking for validation outside of myself, all that. Like I'm so pro therapy to anybody who's, just honestly just experiencing a Black childhood in general, whether it was suburb, both parents, one parent, no parent. I mean, that is so important because there are things that get handed down that we become grown and we don't even know we dealing with, you know? I mean, and I can even see, like, from going to therapy, addressing my family, like, for sweeping things under the rug. I'm like, no, we're going to call shit out. We breaking that curse. You know, this past year we had our first attempt at having some sort of family reunion. So despite bringing those things out, it still brought us together. It's like, we don't have to continue to follow down the things that were handed down us. We don't have to do that. We can break that shit down and keep loving each other, you know? So I feel like I've evolved from my childhood, but I'm grateful because it let me.
Speak on it. Like, it, thank you. Yes. Hey, I wish that we had you on. Ooh, we'll continue.
I'm sorry.
Nisi.
I know that.
No, 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 no. Do not be sorry. Do not apologize for shit. This is you. This is who create who Shayla is today, you know.
I'm right after
It's perfect. So, Nisi, how would you define your childhood?
I think that that's interesting because we've not had this talk amongst ourselves, but I do have a similar upbringing in the sense of my parents were pastors. So that's all the life that I've ever known. From wee baby to about maybe 20 or 19 or 20. My parents wind up getting a divorce when we were older, you know, for some infidelities and, you know, all this good old Rolling Stone-ness in essence of when I said my siblings collectively were in the double digits beyond just our intermediate family. And that was very interesting because, you know, it had you challenged about what you were taught and things that you were believing. And then you have something that's a complete contrast come into your life and then make you question what you thought your structure and foundation were about what you believe, you know, and everything was based off of, oh, because the Bible says this or the scripture says that. But when you have different life experiences that you can't find something verbatim in the scripture to validate, it makes you wonder, is there other answers out there beyond what you were taught? So then you have to decide, what do you believe, not what somebody told you. And then you start your own journey and come into yourself with that. So I'm grateful for all of it. It's so funny, I can't hear you. But, you know, it's a journey that I'm still on. You know, as long as I live, I will continue to learn about myself.
That's truth. I'm enjoying this. Okay. So, where did you grow up?
Ooh.
Nisi.
Oh, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up as a little girl on the west side. Then we got moved out.
How did I know? How did I know?
Then we were moved as, you know, young cheerins out to the suburbs. So I had a good mixture of urban and city, you know, and then that's when I first started to become aware of, you know, the differences of how Black people carried themselves. You know, sometimes I'd be in the city and, you know, depending on where I was, maybe they thought I was talking proper. Then I come out to the suburbs and I just came out from hanging with my cousins. Now I sound hood. Like, what is the balance of learning both of those, you know, terrains? But, you know, I think it makes you more well-rounded when you know how to dabble in both.
That's true.
Absolutely agree. Shayla, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tyler, Texas. Tyler, stand up, Rose City. I was raised, but I literally grew up behind John Tyler. So on Riverside, that's the community. I lived on Navasota. And like I said, I was raised by my aunt who was, you know, she was born in 50, I believe. And so I grew up very sheltered. That's the word I was looking for. I grew up very sheltered, but I was also very rebellious. You know what I mean? So I definitely went against the grain. Like, I always got in trouble for my mouth. I mean, that's just how it was. But like you said, you know, having the exposure of both sides does help, because when I came to the city, I really didn't feel prepared. Like, I didn't feel prepared from the way I grew up. So I've grown like so much in the last 5 years about, you know, something my son, because he definitely can code switch already, you know, like he understand everything. He's growing up totally different than me, you know. So yeah, I grew up country protected and just naturally growing up from there. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What were the roles in your family? So, and once again, to your own intellect about that. So, going to Nisi, what were the roles in your family?
I think in the direction I'll take the question is in tradition. And I think that, you know, my father was the leader and my mother was the support, but my mother also was a leader within herself. So she had her own ways of navigating through who she needed to be with every role that she played. So, you know, you're a wife, but you're a mother, but you're a teacher, you're a counselor, you know, you have different hats that you wear. So being able to see her, you know, acclimate to what she needed to be, but still be consistent with who she was, that was the role that I know that I saw her play. And my father, you know, even though he wasn't around as much, the consistency with him is provision. I learned that that was his love language, right? Like, just because I may not be around all the time, you having this type of roof over your head and you having the kind of car we have and the things that we have, like, that was what his role was. Provision to an extent equaled love. I care about you. That's why I'm going all the time working.
Okay.
Shayla?
For me, you know, my aunt raised me. You know, she raised me as her own daughter, and it was only her. So she was my provider, my teacher, my, you know, support. Thankfully so too. I'll say it like that. Like, my life would have been totally different had she not raised me. But she encompassed all those things. I did have, you know, there were a few other matriarchs in my family. My Aunt Jewel, and she was that, you know, stability. She was the one where, like, Sunday dinner, Easter dinner, you know, we're going to her house. So, and she actually was a friend of the family too. Like, she had no real relation to me, but that served as that, you know, consistency in church, showing up, how to, you know, take care of yourself and things like that, like how to serve. That was her role. And, you know, my aunt played that role too. And so my aunt did have a long-term, like, friend guy, so to speak, who did in some way show up, you know, for a male, for like male support, I guess, or a male representation of what should exist in a family, but it wasn't consistent. So all my life, like, I've just seen women doing it. Like, that's what I've seen, you know, and it's taken, like I said, since, you know, I started going to therapy in 2015, even for me to know, like, Shayla, there is a space that exists for men to be in. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I saw this chick post on Facebook. It was something about, I had posted a page about, like, first I put Black men, how can women love you better? Then I put Black women, how can Black men love you better? Right?
I remember.
Yes. And so this one chick commented and she said, men just don't realize we want to rest in our femininity. And we do, like, but it took therapy for me to even realize, actually, Shayla, you do want a man to do those things for you. You don't want to have to do these things, because I come from a lineage of women who did it because they had to, you know what I mean? So, you know, with that being said, I'm grateful for the women that were in my life. Like, I know how to serve and cater and give and be benevolent and compassionate because of those women, you know. But yeah, we're gonna switch that on up. Role reversal.
And once again, I would say I appreciate y'all sharing everything with us right now, with everything culture on the makings of you. And going to our next question, where do you consider home?
Ooh, am I going first on this one?
You got it. Since she spoke up, you got it.
Okay. I'm like, seemed like we were playing ping pong. But for me, and this may sound weird, but for me, home is me. Like, I feel like home. You know what I mean? And I feel like when others come around me, they feel that too. Like, that's what I want to give out, because I'm like, if that's the case, I can be at home wherever I'm at. And that's really how I feel. Like, you know, I had posted the other day somewhere, I said, to me, Black people feel like home. That's what feels like home to me. You know what I mean? So it's not a particular place or dwelling for me personally. Wherever I'm at home. Yeah.
For me, I think it's a combination of where I'm comfortable at, and also hilariously but honest, it does matter regionally. Like I miss my family at home, but I'm so over the winter that it's not enough of me to miss them to want to move back. So it's home, but this is my home, right? And then also, I love the South, but my honest truth is that I lived in Florida first, and I had to leave Florida because the humidity and the sun were relentless against me. Like they were harassing me. Like my mom on everything walked past me in the airport because she didn't recognize how dark I had gotten. My hair was lifted, like the sun. It was like I had a payday loan with them, and they would not let up, you know. So, and then the pollen was so thick on the car, like it was just. And I'm allergic to pollen, so I was figuring like if I can't live in the South, then Texas would let me know, because I always kind of wanted to check out Texas. So if I didn't make it through the first winter of Texas, then I was going to leave. I just knew I couldn't live in the South, that the South was not physically for me.
Wow.
So Texas, they treated me good for about 10 years. I'm grateful.
Look, Texas stand up.
So yeah, so this is home, but Chi-Town is still home to me.
What were and what are your beliefs? I'm gonna go back with Shayla on this one.
I won't get too deep into my beliefs because I just won't. I feel like that could be a rabbit hole for me personally. No, I won't. But what I will say is this is based off, like I said, my experiences from my journey the past 15 years, or for the past 5 years since 2015. I don't believe that there is a superior belief. I feel like the idea of it being a superior belief is just contradictory. Because I feel like if you think that, well, then your ego is still there. I had a personal experience where I went to Dubai on a trip of a lifetime that it's literally like God was like, nah, that's where you about to go. You know what I mean? Because it was just a stroke of luck and how everything just aligned up for me to go. Anyway, long story short, I didn't have that much money when I went. And so I only had 2 excursions that I knew I wanted to do. One was zip line, one was visit a mosque. So this one particular day, the people I were with, they wanted to go on this excursion, and I stayed and ran. I ran around we were on some water or whatever, on a little river. So I'm out here running, not knowing what's going on. All of a sudden the mosque, they start calling their evening prayer. I didn't know what it was, so I'm running and I'm like, what's going with these songs and everything? And so I stood, and all these people start stopping. They took out their little rugs, shake the little rugs, got down, and they bent down to pray. And I was like, oh, okay. And in that moment, I knew you supposed to stop. You supposed to give reverence to this moment. And I did. And I just stood there and cried because I was like, this is, for one, it was just beautiful to see. And for two, I'm like, that same feeling that I felt, present whenever there's a religious discussion or me in church or whatever, it was the same feeling. And for me personally, I was like, that was all I needed to know, that I can't dispute that this same feeling that I'm having, these people aren't feeling, even though they believe something differently than me. So personally, I believe there is one ultimate source, and that, there is no superior. I've been to a Hindu church service, and I felt the same way I felt in a regular church service. So that's my opinion in short. I won't go deeper than that, but I'll just leave it at that.
We'll bring you back another day to go deeper in that, but love it. Nesi,
What are my beliefs?
What are your beliefs, or what were your beliefs?
Oh, okay. I think one example of the transition of my beliefs was, as I mentioned before, I grew up as a PK, And that's pastor's kid for those who don't know what that is. But but one of the things that I grew up really staunch about was that the belief was there was one person for one person, right? So I always was taught that you got your Adam and your Eve, and that was like it, and so the thought of, sleeping with more than one person is like, oh, you're just going to give your virginity to your one soulmate, and there's nobody else but that one person for you out there in the world, right? And then you fast forward 10, 12 years, and my parents get divorced, right? Out of all the people. And this is now shattering my belief system in regards of, is there really truly only one person out there for you? Like, and then it started opening my mind, like, well, what if the person that you thought was your soulmate gets sick and dies? Like, are you not supposed to remarry? Like, what if somebody is murdered, or like, well, any way that this person could exit your life, does that mean you'll never love again? Like, I didn't think that was fair. And I knew God was better than that, and I knew that he was kinder than that. So I think it just started to help me realize that it was a difference between courting and dating and just getting to know people, because courting, it makes it seem that as soon as the opposite sex approaches you with interest, now you guys are trying to vet each other for marriage. Like, that's so aggressive. Like, why can't we just get to know each other generally, so I can even see what kind of personality traits I like what makes me laugh and what don't I like, and your jokes aren't funny, or you're getting on my nerves. Like, the things that we didn't get a chance to acknowledge you needed to do, instead of just assuming because he's saved, you're saved, he's single, you're single, now get together. Like, what about compatibility? What about, the fact that I might not even actually love you, so, and what does love mean to me, and so that was the point. So, having to realize that what I thought was a foundational stone of what my adulthood would be based off of, only for it to be challenged because it was something that, was beyond human explanation. Like, how can my parents get divorced? It just wasn't working out as a child. So I then had to realize that there's maybe some other structures of stuff that I believe that maybe need deeper exploration.
I'm having so much fun with y'all. Like, this is perfect in my opinion. So, and we're gonna flex it with Nesi on this one. So, what were some of your chores as a child?
Ooh, my chores of a child was very domestic, of course. Assist in the kitchen, sweeping, mopping. My mom was a baseboard mother. She wants you to get on them knees and give the Lord the praise while you get the scrub off the baseboards, because my mother could not stand fingerprints in a dirty baseboard in the house. So those was all of our chores. I didn't have to get into the garbage because, we still let that be a gender thing. So we let the brothers take that out. But but I got to scrub the big casserole pots instead. So, pretty domestic stuff, nothing major. It was fair. I can't act like they were slaving me in the crib. I ain't gonna lie on you.
It was fair.
Okay, Shayla, chores you had growing up.
The same. I did have to clean the kitchen, clean the restroom. It's funny, I don't even remember cleaning the restroom that often, but definitely cleaning the tub whenever you bathe.
That circle out.
Okay, don't let that ring be in the tub. Right. Get that out. Look. Right. So
grab that comment.
You know it.
And the brush, that's what you use. Look. I think, I told you I was raised with 3 cousins that were like siblings basically, and we lived together, so we would rotate weeks in the kitchen, so everybody had their week in the kitchen. But what sucked is because, like I said, I didn't say my dad was in prison. My dad's been in prison, in and out of prison throughout my life essentially. So for holidays, I was the one at home. So it sucked on Thanksgiving and Christmas if it wasn't my week to clean the kitchen, You know what I mean? But then my cousins, they daddies come get them. Then I'm like,
so that make you.
So I gotta get. You know what I mean?
Whether it's your week or not.
I used to hate that, and so I remember going to my aunt once. I was like, "Nah, this is messed up. Like the kitchen is trash on these holidays, and then they be gone. Like I need to find somewhere for me to go, you know." But that was basically it. Beyond that, it was fair, and even then, I was very, very vocal when I was a kid. So if I thought someone fair, best believe you were gonna hear about it, you know. So, and then of course cleaning my room. My room was mine.
Okay, and I remember some of this. I remember you being vocal. I would say that, but I digress. This is not nothing about me. It's about y'all. So, what was an impactful moment in your life, Nesi?
Oh shucks. I say one of the impactful moments I think about is my decision to move out here in the first place, because it didn't make sense to my family. It didn't make sense to my friends. Like, why would you leave your job? Why would you leave the comfort of your friends and family? Like, why would you just uproot your life to go somewhere where you don't have friends and you don't have family? And it's not a super huge promotion, but you know, is it enough to really have you going 1,500 miles away? And it was a good exercise of my faith muscle, you know, to see like, what am I made of, you know, and what do I really believe? And if I say I could do it, then I need to show myself I can, or I can't. You know, like where are my boundaries? What are my heights? What are my lows? You know, and willing to just take a gamble while it only affected me. You know, before I got married, before I had children, like if I was gonna take L's, at least they would only be on my chin and not everybody else's. So, you know, against all odds, in a sense of not a lot of resistance, but more so confusion about why uproot comfortability to go into the unknown. You know, but it's that where the greatness lies, where you don't know, where you grow and stretch in uncomfortability. And I'm grateful to have gambled it to see what I was made of, because I'm still here. So yeah, God is good, and that's my testimony.
Say his name.
Okay.
Look at you now. You could be anywhere in the world, but you with us right now. Everything culture, you know. So Shayla, same question.
I had a couple that came to mind, but you know, just for the sake of being an advocate for something that I'm totally sold on. The most impactful thing, that one of the most that I'll mention, is going to therapy, dude. Like going to therapy, literally like life changing. And I mean that on like the just, I can't even explain like how deep of a level I mean that. Like I'm an advocate for therapy. And so it was funny because, so like I said, I had this moment where I was like, okay, something's wrong with you. Like this can't be normal. It was almost like in the midst of what I was dealing with emotionally, it was like the first time that logic showed up, you know, like something's not right, you know? And I literally Googled, because at the time I was going through a separation. And I literally remember going to work and I typed into Google, how do I survive a divorce? Literally what I typed. And it was a list of shit that came up. Going to therapy was on the list. That's how I got into therapy. I called the EAP program we had in my job. I was like, hey, I need a therapist, whatever. And man, like the first therapist they picked, I don't, you know what? I don't remember if I picked the therapist or they did, but it was the very first therapist that came up, recommended, suggested, whatever. Coincidentally, because I didn't know shit about picking a therapist. I didn't even know to read up on their background, try to find commonalities. It was just a spirit move, without a doubt, that paired me up with this Black therapist. She's now probably in her early 40s, and of all things, her name was Faith. Right. And I've been with her since 2015. And when I say she's a cognitive behavioral therapist, meaning Like, she could be talking to two different people. We can have the same stories, but based off the words she used, the behavior she have, based off her scenario and mine, she could tell us two totally different things. So I love that it's catered to your brain, your mind, your mannerisms. It's literally catered to you. And that just from my understanding, communication, parenting. You know what I'm saying? I was literally, because my son, I think, was maybe 6 or 7 when I started going. And I was literally painting the picture for him to probably experience some of the, insecurities or different things that I was overcoming in therapy. So how I handle communicating with teachers at school, even at work, dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Man, I just can't explain it enough. I am an advocate. I know I'm sounding real passionate right now, but I've grown so much in the past 5 years. Like, I'm so serious.
Since we're rolling on that feeling right here, we're gonna go right back to you, Shayla.
Okay.
How do you define joy?
How do I define joy? Joy. I would say I define joy is, I don't know, when I think joy, it makes me turn automatically to gratitude, because I feel like, it's hard to be in a joyful state when gratitude is not present. You know what I mean? So basically, I would say joy would be being, grateful for what you have in the moment, despite of whatever lacks may seem like they're there, whatever you may feel like you need. Joy is just being grounded in that moment and being grateful for what you do have. That's how I would describe it.
All right. Nesi, same question. How would you define joy?
I define joy as a moment or experience of something blissful and peaceful and almost a form of escapism. When you are wrapped up in a moment of where you feel extreme happiness and comfort, and you can kind of unplug from what you're currently doing or thinking, even if it's just for a few seconds. I think that's the place that people want to be at, and then you look for how can I replicate it on my own. So then I think about songs that I love, I think about smells that I love. I think about, the recipes that I love to put together because I like the chopping, the cooking, the scents, the aromatics. Like, I get lost in those moments of escapism because I'm happy and I'm comfortable and I'm relaxed. So those are what I consider joy things.
I like that.
I like it too. And since we went here, we're gonna skip ahead to one of my favorite questions. Okay. So, if you can have one meal, let's say this is your last meal, okay? This is your last meal, and you can have one, like you can have a meal. It just don't have to be one item, but it's just a meal.
I was already immediately relieved.
So don't get me started. You can have a meal, and who would prepare that meal for you, no matter who it is? And it's back with Nesi on this one.
Okay, so we're discussing who's making the meal or what is the meal?
Both. What is the meal and who's making it?
Oh, man, so first and foremost, I must profess that I am a foodie. So I hope it doesn't sound too ridiculous, but I would need a eclectic worldwide platter with the following countries or cultures represented. I need some Indian, I need some Asian, I need some Latin, I need some Italian, I need some American / soul food, and I think I'm good with and Caribbean. I need that. So I need you said it can be more than one thing. So because rice is very conductive throughout these meals that I'm talking about, right? So it can be chicken, it can be fish, it's just about the seasonings and the herbs and everything you put together with it to give you those distinctive flavors of culture. But it would just have to be a mini me buffet plate. And Martha Stewart can make it for me because I trust her caliber of ingredients. So
You'll get a felon to get your shit together. I ain't even knocking it. Okay. Do your thing. Do your thing. Shayla. So,
Okay, this was this was difficult, but I would go with just from what I've experienced so far. So I went to Boston last November for a conference, and while I was in Boston, I went to Little Italy, and I don't remember the name of this restaurant, but I know it's on my Instagram. I could look it up, but they had this pasta. It was an Alfredo, but like they literally made the noodles that morning. Like they make the
fresh
noodles.
pasta.
Yeah. And it had some kind of sausage in it. It had chicken and shrimp. And the setup and ambience there was nice too, because they was playing like Teddy Pendergrass and things like but it was Italians and the store was dope in the restaurant. But I would that would be my meal. I love pasta. I love Italian. Like it's my favorite.
Above all.
Yes, and then I would want some sort of red blend like menage a trois or pate. And then I would want some cracked cookies from Aunt Irene's for my dessert in South Dallas. Oh my God. So they're butter pecan cookies, but they call them cracked cookies, and the name is legit. So that would be
the one that got the fried lobster boxes and the lemon wings.
And then she don't make the cookies. She get the cookies from this other lady that makes them. But y'all eat cookies, man. They call they crack cookies. Okay. Give me some crack.
Okay, let's see. This is what we here for. Get in your feelings about this. I'm a foodie myself, so I'm like, you don't get me started. Like, we'll be here half the day. I'm very specific with my taste. Okay. So, question going forward with our next one. So, what is a quote that you live by? Shayla.
I feel like I'm put on the spot with this one, a quote that I live by. Okay, I do have one. Wait, hold on, let me look it up. It's I would rather die of. Oh, I know it. But I don't know who said it. But the quote is, I would rather die of passion than boredom. That would be a quote that I live by. Like, I guess because I feel like, during my married days, I feel like so much time passed by and it feel like it was a blur. Like, it don't even feel like there are a whole bunch of like pristine, clear moments. But the past 5 years, I've been hella passionate, hella in pursuit of just finding me, bettering me. And that fire, because of that, like I can remember the past 5 years so vividly. You know what I mean? So that would be one that I live by for sure. Like, I'd rather die of passion any day. COVID been killing me, like, because I'm ready to get out of them streets. But
keep your ass inside. Okay, Nesi.
I have things that I like, but I think something of familiarity is just simply Maya Angelou saying to us that when a fool shows you himself, you should believe them, because I feel like so many of us have suffered from giving people too much of ourselves and not giving them enough space to really figure out who they are. You give them too much time. They get in your life too invested, and you want them to not be who they're showing you that they are. And where do we get this false hope from that that's not that, but that's who they are? And it's ruined so many people's lives. It's paralyzed people's progress. It's done so much. So anyway, the point of that is that when I openly and more quickly recognize character traits that I know are familiar of something that I don't get along with, then I don't bother investing. And it doesn't have to be rude. It just has to be, respectful and adult. But you don't have to kiss people butt, but you know how to curb somebody politely as you are an adult, and it's just the best way to avoid unnecessary drama.
We should, maybe you'll bring that up on our upcoming episode. Perhaps curbing someone politely as an adult. We'll see. Okay. So I'm gonna go back with Nesi on this one. What is your favorite holiday?
I think I would say New Year's Eve because I think it's just a great conglomeration of you being able to say, I had 364 days of something, and then tomorrow I have a new 365 days to do something. So I think it's just reflective and it's also optimistic, and hopefully is optimistic for other people, but for myself personally, this is just my humble opinion. I think it's reflective and optimistic. And I think that your attitude before you get into the new year really sets the tone for it. So if you think you ain't gonna make it, you're not. If you're gonna get out there and do you, then do it. But it's up to you because tomorrow starts a full new year. So that's mine. Oh, it's also my birthday. I forgot to say that.
Yeah.
Birthday. Yes.
Oh, hold on. Is your birthday on the 1st or is it on New Year's Eve?
31st.
31st. Okay. You about to get yourself a scholarship. Okay. Shayla.
You know what? This is so weird. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't think I have a favorite holiday. Like, I don't think I have a favorite holiday. I love celebrating people's birthdays, without a doubt, but I don't have a favorite holiday. I would maybe say Halloween, only because like all the scary movies come on. And I'm a scary movie buff. Like,
he loves scary.
Dude, like back in the day on Halloween on USA, you could
bank
like
the
all
marathon
night.
Of Michael and Jason.
Yes, like the night before and the night of. Like that's also I would be at home passing out candy, watching scary movies. Heck yeah, I love scary movies. So
okay, Shayla, we have a lot in common. Get out of here. Okay. Going into a little bit more deeper. How would you want people to remember you?
Did you ask me?
Since you spoke up, yes.
Oh, that's where it's going. Man, I would want people to remember me as like a light, like just like she was a lighthouse. She, was willing to talk and be open with anybody, or even like, man, I could sit down and tell that girl my whole life story, and I didn't know I was doing it, literally speaking, I tell my friends all the time, like, I want to be cremated. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want my corpse looked at. You know what I mean? And I don't know, just something like play some music for me with a nice picture of me and send me off. But yeah, guess I want to be remembered. This, it's like a lighthouse, I guess.
Hey, love it.
Yeah.
And thank you. And Nesi, how would you like to be remembered?
I think overall, I like to be remembered in my prime and happiness by people. I would like them to remember the best of what I had with them. And with that being said, I think I also wouldn't mind being cremated because I like the room filled with happy photos of me. And I like the room filled with engaging photos of family and friends. And I want you to remember me at my best.
Right.
And I also want to be remembered empty. I want you to think about everything I gave. Like, I want to be that inspiration. I want to be a confidant. I want to be something that left a legacy on the world in a positive way. I want you to say, I believe she did everything she was put here to do for the time she was here for. And that's a lot of work to do, obviously. But when they stand around, don't mourn me. Say, man, she emptied herself out and look at what she gave, and that's how I want to be remembered. That's the legacy I want.
Yeah. I like y'all. And we're coming to our last question.
Oh.
Are you ready? Okay. I know it's been a time.
I'm
scared.
I know.
So, how do you describe your culture? And since Nisi taking that big old jug, we're going straight to Nisi about it.
Oh, wow. And this is just a general statement. Is this not just pertaining to anybody, just culture, period? Shoot, that's good. That's got layers to it. I think at this point in my life, when I think about culture, it makes me want to be a culture curator. Like, it makes me want to help people understand what culture really means and the impact and effect it should be having on us, because I don't like the way that I see the disconnection for the Generation Zs and the millennials and those who are already bored with the internet. I feel like their sense of entitlement is due to a disconnection of not having history and not knowing who you are and how you got to this place. So I think that, yeah, that's what I would like to get. I'm gonna just let it be right there. But culturally, I like it to be something that was purposefully crafted and not just happening. Like, anything cannot go on and you just slap hashtag for the culture. What does that really mean to you? You know. So that is my passion within there, to create culture and to help other people know that they can also do the same.
Go ahead and go, Shayla. Before I